When it comes to cleaning cars, I probably own more products dedicated to cleaning the wheels and tyres than any other product category. And I'm not just talking about the chemical products, I'm talking about brushes and things like that. I probably own more brushes for cleaning the wheels and tyres than anything else, which leads me to today's video reviewing Wheel Woolies. So why am I testing these today? Well, I've wanted a set for a very long time. They're made by a company called Braun, and they are this sort of woolly but relatively thick material on them, which is nice. There are many knockoff copies of these which tend to be much thinner and tend to flatten down when they get wet. So it's going to be interesting to see how these go, but they are the original product. So I've got a large one here for large gaps into wheel barrels. I've got a medium one and a little tiny one, and that's great. It's only 1 inch across, and that's helpful for getting into tight places around your brake caliper, for example, or even other places on the car. For example, if you've got holes in your grille, for example, this might be small enough to get into some of those and help clean them. So it could be useful for that too. It'll be very, very interesting to try them. They do feel good quality. They have a nice rubber grip on the bottom. They are relatively lightweight. There's no metal here at all. It's fairly stiff plastic. We'll see how they go. Now, this is my neighbour's car. It doesn't really get looked after that often, so I offered to clean the wheels, and it gave me an opportunity to try these as well. What I'm going to do first though is to rinse them all down to knock off as much loose dirt. Then I'm going to be hitting it with a very strong wheel cleaner. In this case, I'm going to be using Built Hamber Auto Wheel, because this is a wheel cleaner and iron fallout remover in one. These wheels do look relatively neglected, so this will be a good product for going for those. What I've also got here is a bucket of water, and in this bucket, apart from the tools, which I'm going to be trying and comparing by different products, I've got a mixture of Garage Therapy's One Wheel shampoo in there, and that's a good slick shampoo with good suds too. That's going to make it a little bit slicker and easier to use on the wheels. I've also got the older brushes that I've been using for a long time. This is a knockoff of the EZ wheel brush. This is the large barrel brush. This is, apart from if you can see it from the foam, this is a knockoff of the smaller one. So I'm going to try these side by side. I also have a couple of other brushes here in my little caddy at the side. So tire brush, I've got a couple of detailing brushes to go into the wheel nuts. I also have a couple of the Atlasta brushes, stiff and soft, just in case there's anything that needs a little bit more agitation. So let's get cracking. So first, the car's wheels get a very good thorough rinse off at pressure to remove anything that's loose. Then Built Hamber Auto Wheel is sprayed liberally across the wheel and the tyre. Then, using a stiff bristled brush, I'm scrubbing down the tyres and allowing the iron fallout remover of the wheel cleaner to do its thing. You can see it all turning purple in the middle there. Now, using the knockoff brush, I'm getting in to the wheel barrels. And you can see it does get in, because it's flexible, those flexible bristles. It's able to lay relatively flat, and it does get in beneath the brake disc and is able to let me scrub far back into the wheel well. Now you can see the large Wheel Woolly does not compress down, so it's quite thick. Moving down to the medium-sized one here, much more space to be able to get in between the wheel and the brake disc. And you can see more wheel shampoo coming out of it, so it's carrying the suds, it's carrying the wheel shampoo with it. And then I've gone for the smallest one here to allow me to get in between the wheel and the brake caliper.
something that I'm really struggling to do with most of my other brushes. And now the Vicon wheel face brush to clean up the faces and the rim and around the wheel nuts. And then a small detailing brush to work in right around the wheel nuts themselves. Thorough pressure rinse, and it's looking good.
So that's come up an absolute treat. They're not perfect, I'm not going for perfection here either, but they've come up really nicely. The biggest wheel brush didn't quite get in between the disc and the wheel rim there. I was hoping for better, but I'm hoping there might be a bit more space on the back wheels, because generally back wheels have smaller brakes. We'll see how that goes, but I am really happy with that so far. It's come up really nicely.
Now on to the back wheel. It was a slightly smaller brake disc, but actually not much. Same situation again, a full-on rinse and a spray down. Forgot to spray the tyres there. With auto wheel. These tyres were remarkably clean actually. That foam is white, which means I'm not really pulling any dirt or grime out of the tyres. I was quite surprised. So I can just about squeeze the large wheel woolly around the brakes here. I wasn't quite able to get between the brake caliper and the wheel. I had to move down to a smaller brush. But the large one was just able to squeeze down enough to get between the wheel and the disc. So this is the small brush, which as you can see is able to get into the grille and all of the smallest gaps, the half-sized gaps at the top. Moving on to the medium-sized wheel woolly, it's able to get into the bigger holes, but not the half-sized ones. And the massive one is just like brushing the grille's teeth.
Okay, so the verdict. Are they worth it? Are they worth having? Well, I want to show something here. First of all, these are the two brushes I've been using. Let me just load them up with some of this soapy water. That's how much they drip out. And it's not a lot. And not really surprising, because they're not particularly absorbent. So there's that to consider, and then that's it, they're pretty much gone. These are very flocked. I know this is probably a little bit less luxurious than the proper EZ brush. This one is pretty good. But yeah, they run out of that soapy water quickly. Now here's the difference with the large Wheel Woolly. It goes and goes and goes and goes, and even when it looks like it's stopping, there's loads more in there, and that's what's really great about these. They are more absorbent. If they're more absorbent and you're using a wheel shampoo in a bucket, then that's great. You're going to be able to pick up that shampoo and take it with you into the wheel when you're working it into the barrels. That's really good, especially if you're using a well lubricated shampoo like I've got the Garage Therapy 1 wheel shampoo. It's a very lubricated shampoo. That's great. I'm bringing it along with me. Now obviously the smaller brushes, they don't have quite as much, but still there's a decent amount in them. They're just smaller, but they're just the same. The other interesting thing about them is they don't really collapse down, and I was worried. There were some reviews that said that the knockoffs certainly collapse because they're too thin. These are not thin. These okay, they do have a little bit of squash down, but here, this is it soaking wet. And if I squash it down, it doesn't collapse down that much. It stays spongy and springy and brings along the shampoo with it. So that's one of the reasons I like them. For the absorbency and the ability to bring that cleaner into the wheel is a much better idea. I think if you've got black painted wheels especially and you're worried about the scratches going onto the wheels, I would say it's worth spending a little bit of extra money. Let's talk about the cost. Now, these things I bought, well, this thing cost me about a tenner on eBay. This thing cost me about a $5 on AliExpress. That's not a lot of money, but to be fair, they're not particularly plush. This one's a bit stiffer. This one, it's just a little bit looser. They're okay, they do the job. They've certainly done me fine. But I think if you've got a nice set of wheels, you want to keep them nice, you want something that's a bit more luxurious and a little bit safer, it's worth spending the extra. These tend to go on sale for around about anywhere between £45 and £60, depending on where you shop for them. Now that's a lot of money, not for everybody, I totally understand that. I picked these up, and it's probably one of the better prices. I picked up this set on Amazon, I believe, for around about £48, including postage. That's a fairly decent price, but that's still a lot of money. That might price them out for a lot of people. So do keep that in mind. But if you've got a nice set of wheels, especially black wheels or coloured wheels, you want to keep them nice if they're that gloss finish, then I think it's worth spending that little bit extra. But it's purely up to you. If it's worth spending or saving up that couple of weeks of pocket money to get them, I do think that they're worthwhile having if you have a car with wheels that you're particularly proud of. If you're not bothered, then things like these are absolutely fine. But I am quite happy with these. I'm happy with the absorbency. I'm happy with how large they are. They have a good big face on them. They certainly clean very well. So take from that what you will, but I'm happy with them. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and smash that like button. If you are new here, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And while you're there, make sure you ring the notification bell so you don't miss my next video upload. In the meantime, I've been Specky. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.